F-class shooting, my first attempt. Let's talk about it. Hey guys, welcome back to Hunt Shoot Off Road, and today I thought I'd tell you about my latest adventure. 2 weeks ago I decided I wanted to go try myself at some long range shooting, so I joined the guys from the Mariners Rifle Club out at the QRA range in Brisbane to do a bit of F-class. Now, I put out a call on Facebook and said, you know, on the Australian Firearms Enthusiasts, I think the page is called, I was like, hey guys, who's into long range shooting? Where can I go in Brisbane? What's up? And all I heard was crickets. Absolute nutter. The only response I got on the post was one of my actual mates that put a F for following. Now, I don't know if he realises the little ellipses and you can follow the post from just by doing that. You don't need to put an F there. That actually really annoys me, but you can't educate these people. Anyway, I put out the call saying, hey, I want to do some long range shooting, and no one came to my aid, so I just had to start going and doing some investigation. And so my anticipation was, I've been watching a little bit of Impact Shooter and the likes of that sort of stuff, and who else have been watching? Nut and Fancy and all these types of things like that. A couple of other YouTubers that do a fair bit of long range stuff, and I don't know his name. I can't even pronounce it. Anyway, he's got the Sniper 101 series, really good video series on long range shooting, and goes into some really good details for those that are really data heads. They would actually really enjoy and love that series. I think anyone that's actually really into analytics probably should really get into long range shooting. It's way more involved than precision reloading, even though the two things sort of hand themselves hand in hand. Anyway, did a bit of investigation. The only type of shooting I could find was F-class. Obviously, there's bench rest. Now, I wasn't really interested in bench rest. I don't know why. It just didn't seem to appeal to me, the idea of sitting at the table and shooting at paper. I must say, when I initially was looking at the F-class, I didn't actually realise that it was shooting at paper targets. I thought it was shooting at steel, which is what I wanted, because I wanted that whole immediate feedback of, you know, you shoot, ding! Like I really had a good desire for that. That's what I liked. I do a lot of cowboy action shooting, and nothing better than ringing a steel and hearing it hit straight away. It's really good. So that was my anticipation, was doing this F-class, and I thought I was going to be shooting steel. Because I didn't do that much research into it. I just was like, yep, saw the calendar, checked what dates I'm doing, and I decided that 600 metres would be a good entry level to do. So why did I pick 600 metres? No, I don't know. I just thought anything less was just a little bit too short, and anything more, I didn't think it was going to go that well. So called the guys, arranged to go out there, and they just wanted to see my gun. And of course, I took my trusty Tikka T3, and it's in left-handed. It's stainless light, and I've got the 10-shot magazine for it. Just got 3-shot in here at the moment. I've got a $40 bipod, and I have this $10 bag. I think it's a Voodoo bag. I don't know. It's already broken. I'll fill it with rice, because I didn't even know that you're supposed to put sand in there or whatever. This is what I had, so I just use it for sighting in my gun. So I took out the this. I think it was $40. I don't know. It was just some no-name bipod. So I took that out with me. Took the rice bag, that little tiny thing, and thought, yeah, let's have a crack. Let's see what happens. And of course, one of the first things they asked me was, you know, how much experience have I had shooting long range? And I said, look, I'll tell you what happened. I said, one time I went out to the range, and I was sighting in my 308 BPR Browning pump rifle, and not sighting in it. I was actually doing some load development and all that sort of stuff like that. And I shot a group of about an inch, I think it was, or maybe a touch under an inch. And I was a bit disappointed. I was expecting it to be a bit of a tighter group. And my mate says, he goes, oh man, I wish I could do that. And I said, oh well, you know, I'm still not that happy with it. I said it could have been a bit better. He goes, I can't even shoot that at 100 metres. I was like, I am shooting at 100 metres. He's like, no, that's 200 metres. And I thought the targets were 25, 50, 100, but they weren't. They were 50, 100, 200. So, you know, the only time I've shot 200 meters on paper was accidental. So I didn't really have any experience. And I actually, that was a good 12, 14 years ago. And I just decided, I'll go out there and have a crack at it and see how we go. So went down there and they gave me this piece of paper. Oh, they just checked my rifle, make sure it had no muzzle brakes, because muzzle brakes aren't legal in the competition. And they said that they put me in the hunter class. I found out later that the rear bag, so all you purists F class, I do sorry if I offend you, I'm not trying to offend anyone by any stretch of the imagination. I did use my rear bag, as I found out later when I looked at the rules for the hunter class. The rear bag is actually illegal. I think some of the other rules were basically just has to be a factory rifle with a factory trigger, and I think you can use any sort of hunting rounds. I think the rounds are sort of pretty much unrestricted in the hunter class, and so sort of not anything goes, but anything reasonably factory sort of goes. So anyway, that's just what they chucked me in. I thought, let's have a crack at this, and they give you this bit of paper, and it should be on screen, and it's took it to a 25 meter zeroing range, and I put it down there, and I took a shot to see where it would go. You aim at the black dot at the bottom, and you need to wind up until you get to the 600 meter mark. So, of course, went down there, shot the first shot, wound it up. I think I did 16 clicks up, and took another shot and did another 16 clicks, and did another shot and then did another 8 clicks. And I was looking at my results on the target, and I'm shooting at 25 meters. So it's like so close. I've never shot that close on paper in my life, and man, I was a centimetre left, a centimetre right, and it was all over the place. And I thought, oh man, I'm going to be in some proper trouble, because I don't consider myself a super accurate shooter. I think I do very well, but I wouldn't say I'm by any stretch of the imagination some excellent shooter and can pop a bullseye every single time or anything like that. But I feel like from what I've seen people post on Facebook, I'm exceptional compared to those guys. But it's easy for keyboard warriors to say that type of stuff. Anyway, I shot on this paper, and I can tell you now, I was extremely unsatisfied. I looked at it, I went, wow, if I'm shooting that wild at 25 meters, there is no way I'm going to be able to hit the target at 600 meters. So here's what it is. Anyway, so we went down to the range, and I do apologise, I don't have any video footage of the day, because I just wanted to go down there and really enjoy myself and not waste other people's time and my own time with videoing, because it's a struggle, puts a lot of pressure on everyone. Some people don't want to be in video, and you've got to ask people if they, and I just didn't want to deal with that. I just want to go down there, enjoy myself, test my capabilities, test the gun a little bit, I guess, as well. I mean, it's just a Tikka, yeah, they're supposed to be pretty accurate, but it's just a little skinny barrel, little 20-inch barrel, as if it's going to get out to 600 meters. I guess that was the attitude I had, and the guy asked me, he said, and look, those guys were just super helpful. They're to really help me and give me all the pointers I could to get on paper. And the other thing I had was I did have some of the dirtiest looking rounds you've ever seen. These I don't know if it's going to pick up on that. Let me get a couple more. I had a mix of head stamps. And these are literally my hunting rounds. So these have been floating around in the every time I go hunting, I'll take these out with me, and we got some of them got nicks on the top of the ballistic tip, and they got big bits of crud on there, and these are rough. These are really bad, but they are what they are, and that's what I had. And look, I didn't be picky. Like I said, I sort of just went out there to have a bit of fun, and I didn't really have too much expectation of getting on paper. And so all I did was I've got a massive mix of head stamps. I just quickly went, I did tune the gun for ADI, so I tried to pick out all the ADI cases. So the first string of 12, because you get two-siders and then get to put 10 on paper. The first string of 12, I was able to use all ADI cases, but the second string, I think I had to use Winchester. It was the only round I could get that had all the same head stamps. those rounds, they're zombie, what do they call them? Z-Max, the zombie ones, from Hornady. And the only reason I purchased those originally, because I used to use Taipan, and the only reason I didn't get Taipan again was because they had stopped manufacturing projectiles. It's an Australian company for those from the States, and pretty popular, but they have actually started up again, so another company has taken that over, so it'll be really good. I'm looking forward to purchasing some of those very shortly. And like I said, I loaded those about 4 or 5 years ago when I first got the Tikka. I just got the Tikka, took it down the range, sighted in, and then I did the load development, come home, and I loaded up about 400 cases, all with the Z-Max. I couldn't even tell you how much powder is in those cases. I'd have to go check my dad's books because I've got it written down in his books. But I can't remember because that's how long ago it was, and I haven't actually needed to reload for the Tikka yet. So those loads, they're like I said, 4 to 5 years old. They've been, every time I go hunting, I'd take all my loads, put them in the car, they rattle their way out, rattle their way back in. Some have been in the magazine and had shots, and that's why the tips are crushed, because from the recoil, you damage the first few, and some of them you'll cycle it, put it back out, put it back in the top of the magazine, cycle it again, and so they're pretty unrespected, I think might be a good choice of words for that. And anyway, so we go down there, and a guy asked me, he said, have you shot before? And I just said the same thing. He said, yeah, once I shot accidentally at 200 metres, but that's about it. And he's like, really? I was like, yeah, mate. And he's like, okay, I'll get my spotting scope out and I will spot you. So that way, if you miss the board and I see an impact, I can sort of guide you into dialing up onto the target. Because if I can't get on in the first two shots, then I've got to go back down to 25 metre zero range and try and zero again and come back. So anyway, I cycled the bolt, look through the scope. Just I'll tell you about the rest of the rifle. It does just have the aluminium factory Tikka T3 rings, and I've just got a Bushnell Trophy 3 to 9 times. Now that was the first scope that I ever purchased, and that was back on my Browning pump rifle 308 as well. And at the time, that cost me $340. So it's probably the equivalent of about modern day, probably somewhere between $600 or $800. And that was back when Bushnell had a really good name for themselves, and they weren't some of the cheaper rubbish that you can get now. It was a pretty good scope at the time. And I've never had a problem with it, but I've never wound the turrets. I just go in, sight it in, take it down there, and you can see actually there is some damage on the scope. Just there. Now what happened there was, it's on this side as well. Probably not the best. And what happened there was, I lent it to my brother-in-law. I was with him at the time. And I'm pretty sure he dropped the scope on the tray. Boom. Just straight on the end. And it slipped in there, so, because that was the only time it's ever gone out of sight. Retightened it up, and I've never had a problem since I retightened it and re-sighted it. So other than that, I've never really adjusted the optics. I've never wound them, so to wind it up, I didn't even think I would be able to wind it up enough to get it close to doing what I needed to do to get on target, but I did. I think I'd end up doing 16, 8, and another 16. So what's that? 30, 32, 48 plus 8, 56 clicks up. And I think I ended up doing 2 clicks to the left. Anyway, get the first shot, boom, and it hits the bottom of the target. So the electronic targets down the end of the range. Now, I think the black dot you're aiming at, I think it's about, I want to say about 50 centimetres, but I don't know. And I don't know, I just looked through the scope with my 3 to 9 times. We ended up to 9, and I've discovered something called Mirage. I think I didn't really know what that was before, and I think I've actually since experienced it with my 223 when I was out at trying to shoot that as well, because everything was wobbling around, and it was like about 40, 42 degrees. So I think I've now worked out another problem that I've been having that I thought was just me wobbling around, but it's not. I think it's this Mirage that all the long range guys talk about. And got on the bottom paper, and he goes, see the grids on the target, because there's a little digital display down here on your right, and I could see, I was zoomed out, I could see where it had hit on the thing. So that's 4 minutes of angle from the center of the target. So he goes, you're in the middle, so just wind up however many clicks you need to. So quarter minute angle on the scope, so 16 clicks up. Do my 16 clicks up, fire, boom, and I can't remember. I'll bring it up on the screen. We've got a pretty good shot there, and I think I shot another 3 rounds, and then I just adjust a little bit to the left. I didn't even dial it. I just aimed to the second ring on the left, and it's two rings up, and shot again, and I couldn't believe it. Everything was sort of in the black, and I think I got 1 or 2 X rings, and my extreme spread was 327 millimeters at 600 meters. And that's, as anyone would say, that's a minute of pig. Like you could hit a pig at that sort of distance with that sort of grouping. That was really good, and I had a fantastic time. I didn't even think I could get onto paper, let alone get a group that was like essentially 1 foot wide. Like that's just incredible. And that was only the 8th and 9th shot that really went that wild. And the little tiny barrel, she was getting pretty hot. Couldn't really touch it at that point. And a little bit of wind kicking in there, and I tried to do some adjustments on the scope rings to make the adjustments instead of doing a holdover. But in my error, I thought I did 2 clicks to move it over, I guess 2 MOA or something, and I needed to do 4 clicks to do it, not 2 clicks, and so that affected me. And then got the last shot in it, and it was pretty good, and I was super happy. It was funny, the young guy beside me, he had a proper F-class rifle. He had a Savage actually as well. Big like 2-inch bull barrel, and 24, 26 times scope, and he didn't do half as well as I did, and I think he was a bit filthy, and he couldn't believe that I hadn't shot 600 meters before, and I didn't rub salt in the wound or anything, but it was just like wow, you can go out there just with some pretty standard equipment, and I must say that speaks heaps of the Tikka product. I think that shows you really what can be done with out of the box rifle. Like I haven't done anything to that. I haven't bedded it. I haven't tried to float the barrel. The barrel is reasonably well floating. It floats down to probably about 3 inches off of where it bolts into the action. I can get a piece of paper right down to there, even on the bipod there. So it's pretty good. I can't say I've got anything to complain about it, except for I don't like the magazine style. I don't like the fact that to load the magazine you have to take the magazine out, put the round in, and poke it in from the bottom. And at the standard one only comes with a 3 shot. So, but I had a fantastic time. I'm really looking forward to doing it again. And what's interesting is just before Christmas, I managed to pick this up. So this is a Savage Model 10 with I haven't even measured, I think it's a 26-inch barrel. This thing is so heavy, it's just ridiculous. It is right-handed, and I do shoot left-handed. But look, I got this for a bargain price from a guy that was getting out of shooting, and I tried to encourage him not to, but his mind was already made up. $200, $200 in Australia. That is so cheap. It cost me $42 to do the PTA on it, so it cost me almost more to do the PTA than to buy the rifle. So I do have another scope there. I've got a Nikon Sterling Night Eater. I know it's 16 times as the most. I think it's 4 to 16 or 6 to 16. It is an absolutely atrocious scope. It's really bad at night time, particularly bad at night time. Even though it's a night eater, I guess it means the night eats it up. But you know what? I've got it. It's not going to cost me any more money. I've got Picatinny rails, so I can mount straight onto these rails. Hopefully, it's not a one-piece rail there, but who cares? I might chuck that on there, do a bit of a load development, and maybe go shoot another 600 meters, or I might even load up some like 200 or 220 grain. I think they reckon that's the go with the 308, and maybe take it down and give it a crack at 1,000 meters, because I feel like I'm a little bit capable now, and maybe with a tool slightly bit better. This is must be like a sort of, I don't know, it says made for Savage. What does it say? Designed by Major John Plaster, manufactured for Savage Arms. So it's a factory stock, and it's quite wide. So it's like a bench rest style stock. Does have the adjustable thing here for raising and lowering it, and it weighs a ton. I would never have bought this gun, except it was offered to me at a price that I couldn't resist, and I figured, you know, make a couple of videos with it, and just move it on. Maybe even make a couple of bucks off it. So I look forward to that video in the future. And look, I just wanted to... Oh, and so I did find out that the reason probably no one had got back to me is there is no other forms of long-range shooting in Brisbane. The nearest place to do PRC is Dalby, which is like a 4-hour drive for me. So that's a long way to go to do that sort of driving. I want to be going hunting. I don't want to be doing shooting steel. I'd rather be shooting skin. And anyway, so that's what it is. That's why I had to do F-Class. Maybe that's why people were a bit quiet. Look, I'm super keen. I'm super excited about it. And I would encourage anyone to go out there, even if you just got basic equipment, with a little bit of patience and maybe with a good hand load. You could probably shoot in excess of 600 meters. So the guys reckon I probably couldn't shoot 800 meters because of the really short barrel. Probably not getting the velocities I probably need. Now I haven't run this over the magneto speed just yet, but I will get that over to magneto speed very shortly and see what sort of distances I reckon I could probably get that out to, because that'd be really good. But I probably would run out of elevation, I think, with that scope. So anyway, guys, look, that's it. Just if you enjoyed what you saw, make sure you give us a big like. If you want to hear more videos or get notified when the next one comes out, make sure you smash that knockout bell. And don't forget to hit subscribe in the middle there at the end, or as always, you can always hit it down here. There's that red subscribe button there the whole time. And you know, I do have a Patreon now, so if you want to get over there and support me, throw me a couple of bucks, $1 or $2, really appreciate it. The first person to I'll tell you what, the first person to become my Patreon will win this this bolt pouch from Outback Packs and Gear. And I use this. I use these. I've got about 6 or 7 of them. Fantastic. I'll just chuck it over the barrel when it's in the safe, so I know where it is, because in Queensland you have to have it, the action removed. So I remove it. It doesn't say it has to be removed from the safe side. Rather than, you know, get out west and find out when you go hunting, where's my bolt? It's back home now. I can't use a gun. It's about as good as leaving a magazine at home. So, but look, guys, hope you enjoyed that. Hopefully it was a little bit informative. Hopefully encourage you to go out and do some long range shooting if that's what you want to try. Might not be your thing, but I reckon just go out there, have a crack. You'll probably have some fun and meet some new like-minded people if that's the worst that can happen. So until next time, guys, get out there, get in the sun, have fun, chase them big boars, and until next time, guys, I'll catch you later.